Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Mahamudra, a simple path for a busy life with Ringu Tulku Rinpoche. Today is Saturday, November 18th, and my name is Julia Myers, and I am the Donor Relations Coordinator at Tergar International. I'm here together with Tsumna Kunsan Palmo, Christine, Cody, Rod, and Leah, as well as 8 translators in the background. Very much for answering those questions. And I think with this, I can welcome Tsumna Kunsan Palmo, who will be our host today.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you so much. And welcome, everybody. It's really wonderful that you can join us today. So before we begin, I'd just like to say a few words about our incredible teacher that we're going to be listening to in a few moments. Ringu Tulku Rinpoche is a Tibetan Buddhist master of the Kagyu lineage. He trained in all schools of Tibetan Buddhism under many great masters, including His Holiness, the 16th Gyawa Karmapa and Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. He took his formal education at Namgyal Institute of Tibetology, Gangtok, and Sampananand Sanskrit University at Varanasi, India. And he served as professor of Tibetology in Sikkim for 17 years. Rinpoche's doctoral thesis was on the ecumenical movement in Tibet, published under the title The Rimé Philosophy of Jamgon Kongtrul the Great. Since 1990, he's been traveling and teaching Buddhism and meditation at more than 50 universities, institutes, and Buddhist centers in Europe, USA, Canada, Argentina, Mexico, the Caribbean islands, South Africa, Australia, and Asia. He also delivers many online teachings and participates in various interfaith dialogues. Ringu Tulku is the author of many books on Buddhist teachings, such as Confusion Arises as Wisdom and Daring Steps, as well as the Heart Wisdom series and the Lazy Lama series of pocket books published by Bodhicharya Publications. Rinpoche founded Bodhicharya, an international organization that coordinates worldwide activities to preserve and transmit Buddhist teachings, promote intercultural dialogues, and support educational and social projects. He also founded Regal Trust, which supports a number of medical and educational projects, mainly in his birthplace of Regal, Tibet. So with so much activity, we're incredibly fortunate to have Ringu Tulku Rinpoche with us this evening. Welcome, Rinpoche. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today and for offering a teaching on Mahamudra, a simple path for a busy life. Thank you, Rinpoche. So with that introduction, I'd just like to invite our Umze and MC, Julia, back to lead us in the chants. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you. Refuge and Bodhicitta. Sangye Chödang Soki Choknam La Jangju Padu Dakni Kyapsu Chi Daki Jinsoki Pe Sernamgi Trola Penchir Sangye Trupar Shok Sangye Chödang Soki Choknam La Jangju Padu Dakni Kyapsu Chi Daki Jinsoki Pe Sernamgi Trola Penchir Sangye Trupar Shok. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until enlightenment is achieved. May the merit of my generosity and other virtuous deeds lead to Buddhahood for the welfare of all beings. Samchen tamche de wadang, dewe yudang den par guruchik, duknel dahang duknel gi, Gyudang drel var guru chik, duknel me pede wadampa, dang vitrel var guru chik, ne ring chak dang ni dang drel we, tang yom chen pola ne par guru chik. Sam chen tam che de wadang, dewe gyudang den par guru chik, duknel dang duknel gi, gyudang dral var guru chik, duknel me pe de wadam pa, dang mitrel var guru chik, ne ring chak dang ni dang drel we, tang yam chen pola ne par guru chik. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from sublime bliss, free from suffering. May they dwell in great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. Mandala offering. Sashi perju chokching me talk drum, rirap lingji nidik yen padi, sangye chingdu mekte polvayi, drokun nam dak jin la tripar shok. Sprinkling the earth with perfume and strewing it with flowers, adorning it with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha realm and offer it so all beings may enjoy this pure realm. Prayer to turn the wheel of Dharma. Sanchem nam ki sampadang lo yi ye drak shitawa che chung tun mang tek pa yi ki korlo kordu sol. In harmony with the different wishes and mindsets of sentient beings, please turn the wheel of Dharma of the common, great, and lesser vehicles.
Badin sabi naman boje dagisho emede karin chembi gone jesu de kuson tu jengo tu sande so. So thank you very much, and I'm very honored to be invited to have some time with you in Tergar and a little bit discussion on this very profound subject of Mahamudra. I am especially happy to be in Tergar community because we are students of the same teacher. I also consider myself as a student of Ringu Tulku Rinpoche. Whenever I get the chance, I request Rinpoche to guide me and give me instructions on Mahamudra. And so therefore, we are students of the same teacher discussing on the same subject that we are all trying to practice. I'm not a very good practitioner, a very lazy one. So therefore, when I am requested to talk, I was very happy to come and participate, but I was a little bit not knowing what to say, because most of you, I think, have received very profound and very experiential instructions on Mahamudra from Ringu Rinpoche and other great masters. So I was asking what to talk about to Lucas, and he gave me this kind of 3 lines that he said it's being in the program. What Mahamudra is and why it's relevant today. How we can practice the teachings of Mahamudra in our own lives. How Mahamudra can guide us in recognizing our own true nature. So he gave me these 3 lines, and maybe I'll try to go around these. What Mahamudra is and why it is relevant today. Mahamudra, I think you all know, is the highest and deepest experience and teaching of the ultimate kind of experience of you can say absolute truth, the experiential. It is usually known as the quintessence or the completion stage practice of the highest tantra. So in Buddhism, there can't be any teachings which is more profound or more, direct experience than Mahamudra. Now, these Mahamudra teachings is then, as you know, sometimes taught, in kind of connection with this is very important, I think, to understand that in Buddhism we have many different dhyanas, sometimes 3 yanas, up to 9 yanas, and things like that. And these, in one way, could be for different types of people. Because Buddha taught different approaches and different levels of teachings for different people that they need that or would be useful for them. But it is also used many times that these yanas are a kind of a graded path to an individual, to one person. You would start from the teachings of Sarvakayana, Pratyeka Buddha, then Bodhisattvas, and then Tantras, Vajrayana, but Kriya, Yoga, Charya, like that, yoga, and then Anuttara Tantra Yoga, like that. So it is very clearly said in like He Vajra Tantra that, one would start from the beginning and slowly, step by step, practice. And this is like, joining a school from the class 1 and then going up, step by step. So therefore, the Mahamudra is like the culmination, like the last stage. That's why, when Mahamudra is taught as a kind of pith instruction teaching, solely Mahamudra practice, without going through all the Sutrayana and Tantrayana teachings, then those masters have been trying to give a little bit of an understanding and experience of all those teachings of the different yanas in form of a ngundu. We have usually, when we practice Mahamudra, people sometimes are asked to do the ngundu practice, the preliminaries. And these ngundu practices are supposed to be a very short and most kind of precise practices of these different levels, like from the Shivakayana to Pratyeka Buddhayana to, Bodhisattvayana, to different levels of Tantra, and then culminating in Mahamudra. I know, I see that sometimes those who go through the Mahamudra teachings and practices in a traditional way, by going through these ngundus in the Tibetan way of doing 100,000 of this, 100,000 of that, and things like that. I see that sometimes this becomes a little bit of a problem to those people in the modern world who does not, have too much time also, but also, these kind of practices are something that they cannot always easily connect with. And sometimes these ngundus become some kind of an obstacle to the Mahamudra teachings, because, it's like you have to go through them in order to receive the Mahamudra teachings. And therefore, you have to do that, but those things are not totally something that most of the Western people and also, the modern people don't have time and energy and sometimes understanding on, how these teachings relate to us. For those beings, I think this is very important to understand that actually these are for that. It's a whether we do all this in the traditional way, 100,000 and 10,000 things like this or not, I think it is important to us to know that this is like that. So therefore, whether you do how much in number and things like that, to have some idea and understanding and a little bit kind of, learn the meaning of those teachings and try to use them in ourselves, not necessarily by repeating them so many times, but kind of getting the essence of that and then using this in our life, I think is extremely important. Because, when we talk about like Mahamudra, this is to, the main purpose, whether it's Mahamudra or any other Dharma practice. It is everything is about transforming ourselves. Transforming ourselves meaning that, how do we deal with a different kind of experiences we have to go through in life. And when these different kind of experiences or things happen, good things or bad things, or, pleasant experiences and unpleasant experiences happen, how do we, experience them? How do we look at them? How do we, these kind of challenges of life, how do we deal with them? And, in a way which is, which doesn't make us kind of totally lost or, kind of we become very negatively affected by them. So therefore, we need to, most of these things are sometimes understandings and all sometimes facts of life, like, impermanence, even the precious human life, samsara, and, the karma and things like that. These are sometimes, I think, very important because I often feel that, to have a good understanding of them seemed to help me a lot in dealing with, life. Recently, I was talking somewhere, and I was saying that, when I was, I left Tibet, I was chased by the Chinese army. I think I was around 5 at that time. And so we were kind of going through from Kham to Central Tibet to, India, about 2 years, and always chased by army, and, we had to go through a very, very difficult situation. But I think what really saved me from getting totally traumatized by those experiences was, I think, basically the understanding of samsara. We were told again and again that this is samsara. We are in samsara. In samsara, people are under the influence of negative emotions. And therefore, out of negative emotions, they do lots of negative things to each other. And so therefore, this is normal. This is the way it is. And if, we need to get out of that, we need to ourselves be, try to free ourselves from the samsaric state of mind. And just being upset and angry and saying that this is not like justice, why this is happening to me, and things like that would not help. So those kind of understandings, helped to go through those, times. And even, when you go through those kind of inhuman kind of treatments, not completely losing heart and not completely losing kind of your way of looking at other people, completely with hatred and, anger, and not with doing that, but just a little bit of kindness and compassion, I think help us a lot. So those kind of things, I think, is very important as a kind of preparation for this kind of Mahamudra teachings. These kind of things will also help us, I think, to understand that, that everybody is like myself. We are not totally, perfect. We have negative emotions. We have, negative, lots of negative things in us. And we want to be happy. We want to be free from suffering. We want to have lasting peace and happiness. So therefore, this is something I wish for myself, but this is not just me. Everybody wishes this for. So when we understand this, even if people are, doing very negative things and, doing sometimes terrible things, but even those who are doing those negative things and terrible things do it with the intention that they would be free from their own troubles and they will have, some good results or happiness or joy, although they are doing it with the wrong view. So therefore they don't get what they want. So therefore, those people who do those negative things are not an object of our anger and hatred, but more our kindness and compassion. So these kind of understandings, I think, helps us to, to generate some kind of bodhicitta, you can say, if you like. So therefore, these are therefore regarded as very important, you can call it preparations, you can call it preliminaries, you can call it basic teachings for Mahamudra as well. And so therefore, I think it is very important that those of us who are trying to practice Mahamudra should not, should not miss these kind of understandings and instructions. Because if we do that, then we somehow, miss some important aspects of Mahamudra. Because Mahamudra is, of course, the ultimate kind of view and meditation. But this ultimate view and meditation, if it is not accompanied by the right attitude and, right kind of aspiration or motivation, a compassionate attitude, and then it doesn't become Mahamudra. So therefore, I think, I would like to, the goal or the, our kind of motivation, we need to check why I'm practicing Mahamudra. We would like to free ourselves from, causes of problem and suffering and pain and all kind of things that we don't want, and we wish to have, complete positive things and liberation and awaken our, wisdom, compassion, and things like that, and find a kind of lasting happiness and joy and, enlightenment. But I want that for all the sentient beings. And this kind of, therefore, the bodhicitta with this for limitless, that I wish the highest, I wish to eliminate all the sufferings of all the beings without any exception. I want that for all sentient beings. I don't want just freedom from suffering for all of them, but have the highest and the, the most ultimate possible positive thing for them. And that also not just for the short time, but forever. this kind of, goal makes you a bodhisattva. And so therefore this becomes most important, like the most important grounding or the preparation for Mahamudra. Of course, this understanding that this is something possible and this is something that can happen is something that comes from the understanding and experience of Mahamudra. Without the teachings like that of Mahamudra, we are doubtful. We don't know whether something called enlightenment, something called, freedom from the samsaric state of being is possible or not possible. We don't understand. And even if we say it must be possible because Buddha said it is possible, it would be just on a kind of a belief system. But if we have some understanding, a little bit experience of Mahamudra and such teachings, such level of teachings, there are many such level of teachings, then I think it would bring us at least a clear understanding, if not experience, clear understanding that, yes, this is possible. This is possible because, if you understand what you are, how your mind is, how all the, the nature of your, everything, nature of your mind is, it is not something, it's an awareness. And this awareness is, we can at least understand. We can at least understand if you listen to the teachings of the great masters like Rinpoche and other great masters. This experience of our awareness is not like, it's not like in this awareness, because our experience finally, as you can call it consciousness, you can call it mind, you can, the basic, our consciousness is an awareness. And in this awareness, there is nothing called I, that is the, observer of this awareness. And then there is something other than, me, others, which is the kind of the object of this awareness. There are no two things like that. This awareness is awareness. And that is, that is not two, that is one. And that is, we are always aware, and that is always there. When we understand this experientially, we clearly understand that what we are, what I am, is not something, that I am here and then all these other experiences are out there. And so therefore, whatever out there, something good I have to get and something bad I should not get. And therefore all this, aversion and attachment that we usually react with is not necessary. So when that understanding becomes a little bit clear, then, what I am is not something that is, truly existing on its own. Therefore, how do I, I cannot be harmed in a way. I cannot die. There is nothing called me there in this, which is kind of vulnerable, which is not totally there in a way. That's why the in the Prajnaparamita Sutras, they always say, like the Buddha said it also, that I want to explain it, I cannot explain it. And that's the, the nature of the phenomenon, the nature of the mind, Prajnaparamita. It is unborn and unceasing, meaning that if you look at my mind, or look at anything actually deeply, there's nothing that it is coming from something. There's nothing that is going somewhere else. There's nothing that there is existing somewhere. So therefore it's unborn. And therefore it's also unceasing, because, when it's not there, when it's not born, it cannot die. So therefore, the nature of ourselves, the nature of our mind, nature of anything is like that of a space, space, as we understand from a very common point of view. This space is, does it exist? You can't say there is something called space, because space is somewhere there is nothing. But you can't say it's not there, or because it's within this space everything arises. So therefore, this awareness is something that, just self-aware we have. And so therefore, this is what our true nature is. And when we understand this deeply, experientially, there's nothing that I have to be, attached to or attached with. There's nothing I have to be, have aggression or, aversion to. So therefore, all these negative emotions doesn't necessarily, it's not necessary to have these negative emotions. That's why when we talk about, wisdom, all our emotions become wisdom. It's not that, we have negative emotions and then something happens and it becomes something different, which is wisdom. It's not like that. That, there is no basis of these negative emotions. And when we see this very clearly, then that is called wisdom. So therefore, when those understandings start to happen, then we would have no doubt whatever that the enlightenment is possible. Enlightenment is actually, it's there now. That's our true nature. When that experience becomes at least an understanding, clear understanding, then, our our kind of our goal, our journey, our path becomes totally clear. That there's nothing, which can divert us from this, because this is what it is, and this is what we have to work on. Although, we have lots of, habitual tendencies. We have lots of, kind of baggage from the past. So therefore, it's not easy to be free from all those defilements and things like that of different levels. But it is clear that we can do that, So therefore, having this view of understanding of Mahamudra can become, the most important, kind of most important thing that can actually start to completely transform ourselves. So therefore, and therefore then, if that little bit understanding happens, then it becomes very, it becomes completely relevant to everybody. You don't have to be, a Tibetan. You don't have to be necessarily, Buddhist. You don't have to be, anything, a monk or a nun or anything like that. Any being, anybody, is, that's why, sometimes we call it Buddha nature, but, that kind of sounds a little bit far, something that needs to be a kind of cultivated and developed. But here, it's directly in our own experience now. So when that understanding, of course, to get that understanding is not necessarily easy. And sometimes, Mahamudra Rinpoche often tells that sometimes our own kind of hesitation or not having enough, can you say, enough kind of courage to say this is it, kind of two-mindedness. It can't be so easy. It can't be so simple. It can't be, can becomes the most important obstacle for us, because, we have that true nature all the time. We understand, it's not something very far, or not something very, very hidden or something. It's in our own experience. It's our, it's with us all the time. So once we have that understanding a little bit, then it becomes relevant to anybody. And also, it doesn't become something, very difficult or very far away, or that in order to explore this, or to become a reality or realize this, we have to kind of go to the monastery, or have to do, do something totally leaving everything else, and then, doing something else. It's not like that, but it's basically a practice of our, you can call it mindfulness if you like, a little bit discipline. as we sometimes said, like, do we need special time to get upset, to get angry, to be, to have, unhappiness and all these kind of problems? We don't need that, we don't need extra time. Nobody would say that, oh, I have no time to be unhappy, or I have no time to be angry, or I have no time to be upset. It always happens. So if that is the case, then, that we don't necessarily need lots of time to also transform them, to work at them. Because, it's more about our little bit mindfulness and discipline, not about time. When we go through certain kind of experience of like kleshas, negative emotions, or a wrong way of experiencing things, and then we disturb our mind, at that time, if we catch it, if our mindfulness catches it and says, I'm experiencing in this way, I'm reacting in a negative way. So, so what is mindfulness? Actually, mindfulness is, in Tibetan Buddhism, mindfulness, Temba, Temba, is explained in this way. To become aware what is going on in me. You have to have awareness. And then secondly, to remember what to do at that time. This remembrance. Smriti is the Sanskrit word for mindfulness, and smriti means remember. So, when you are aware what's going on, and then you kind of remember that this I should not react like this, but I should react like that. And then there's no reason why I should not do like that. So if we can do it, that's the practice. The practice is not something that takes a long time, but practice is in one moment when you catch what you are doing, and then if we are reacting in the wrong way, negative way, or disturbing way, then you remember what to do and change it, and transform it, and react in a positive way, or allow yourself to react in a positive way, and the practice is done at that time. That doesn't mean that it will not come back, but when it comes back, you do it again. So therefore, that is what the real practice is. It's not about, kind of doing something, and leaving everything and going somewhere, and not like that. Wherever you are in whatever profession or situation, life you are, you can continue to be that way. You can change it also if you like, but and then you can practice in that way. I think this is very, very important, because especially nowadays, I've seen lots of people like in the West, people becoming monks and nuns are very difficult, because unlike in like places in the East, where there are big monasteries and the social kind of society supports monks and nuns and things like that, then it's a different situation. But in the West, even the monks and nuns have to find a source of income and things like that. And then, it's very difficult to be a monk and also earn a living and things like that. But, it's not necessarily, that to practice Dharma, to practice especially things like Mahamudra. It's not only Mahamudra, of course, any practice can be like that. But, practice is about how you react, how you work with yourself, how you keep your, your state of being. So therefore, it's not about time. It's not about, life situation. It's about our understanding, our little bit mindfulness and discipline. So therefore, this kind of teachings are extremely relevant because, that's why, when just before Tibet became, was kind of taken over by the communists and destroyed all the monasteries and things like that, many great masters start to give, Dzogchen and Mahamudra teachings completely without any preparation to the general public, and said that now it's not a time to try to work on the, the preliminaries and preparations and things like that. It's time to directly give all the instructions because, this everything will be in a very difficult situation, and that time only this would be helpful. And it was so. It was so. It was experience in Tibet that when, many people went to jail or were tortured or went to these concentration camps and things like that, they could see how much difference it made, to those people who had some kind of understanding, some instructions on the Mahamudra, Dzogchen, and things like that, and those who didn't have that, So therefore, these are, very, very practical, and it's a very profound, and it's important to really understand. And when you have some understanding, then it cannot go away, unless you yourself forget about it. And this is also possible. Sometimes we can have a little bit of understanding, and then, then we think, oh, I understand, I have it, but I don't practice. And then it will go away. You will forget. This is really possible, After some time, you think, oh, I had some understanding. I really, there was something, but then you can't, bring back your experience of that. That's possible. That's why, I often say that when I went to Tibet last time, it was, 2005, and there, there's two very, very big, Dharma centers or Dharma camps in Kham. There's Larungar and Yachengar. At that time, we couldn't go to Larungar because Larungar, the Khenpo Jikun passed away, and it was not possible to go there. But we went to Yachengar, and the Khenpo there, another great master, Dzogchen master. So first it was difficult to meet him, but then at the last we met him. And then, he gave us some fantastic teaching, and I was translating them to some of the people who were accompanying me. And then, he told me, it seems you have received some teachings. I said, yes, I have received some teachings. And he says, it seems you have received lots of teachings. I said, yes, I have received lots of teachings. And then he turned to me and said, oh, that's totally useless. That's totally useless, totally useless. So I was a little bit shocked first what he's saying, all the teachings that I've received is totally useless. And he said, you have to practice. You have to practice. If you don't practice, all these teachings that you have received are totally useless. And I found that that was really the most important instruction, because it's completely true. I might have received lots of teachings, and I've received teachings from very many great masters, and lots of teachings on, Mahamudra teachings, Dzogchen teachings, many other teachings, and things like that. But if I don't practice them, then it's almost as good as I've not received them. So therefore, the main thing is about how we use these teachings in our daily life. It is not, it's not about, kind of some time. Of course, it is very good if we have a little time, like some hour or more or less, or every day to practice. That is, of course, very, very good. But I think it's more important is that a little bit in our life, if we can be a little bit mindful of what's going on again and again. Not all the time, of course, we can't do that, but that, I think, is the most important thing. So this so therefore, I think this is more or less, I should say, at this time. And I don't know if you have any questions. Whatever questions you have, you can ask me. I don't say that I have answers to all the questions, but we can have a discussion. So thank you very much. I think I should stop. Yeah, it's about 1 hour, and it's I think better that we have some discussion than just me talking on and on without too much, important things to say.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche, for your wonderful and profound teachings. And we do have a few questions that came in via Zoom and YouTube. So one question is, we look at the nature of thoughts in sitting in Mahamudra practice. How does one work with thoughts in Mahamudra mind throughout the day?
This, as I said, it's I think it's just like, it's of course, this kind of I think first and most important is to work on our our negative emotions and kleshas, because klesha is the from Buddhist point of view, that's the main cause of all the sufferings, and all the source of all the negative karma also, and source of all the negative actions that we ourselves do also. So therefore, we check again and again what state of mind we are. And then, if it is a positive thing, it's the kind, compassionate, and, kind of peaceful, and then we relax. We congratulate ourselves. We rejoice at ourselves. And then if it is not something positive, but a little bit negative and a little bit, the wrong way, then we try to let that go, usually, we have three ways of doing it. One is just letting it go. Another is transforming them. And another is like through the Mahamudra, to understanding its true nature. Because, like every thought, every emotion, every, is an arising. So these arisings arise, and then they just dissolve. It doesn't, they don't kind of, there's nothing that is, truly coming from somewhere, truly going somewhere, or existing anywhere. It just like flows, like waves. And, so when we allow that to happen and not hold on, not, not kind of seize it and catch it and trying to, then they will disappear by itself. So, that if we understand all the thoughts and emotions are like that, our true nature is this awareness. And within that awareness, anything can arise. A thought can arise. Emotion can arise. Positive thoughts and emotions can arise. Negative thoughts and emotions can arise. If we can allow those to come and also to go without holding on to that, without grasping, without, letting that be, without, then that's, that is the nature of, that is how we, we transform that into kind of wisdom, because, it's okay, even a very negative thought or emotion comes, and we understand that it's coming, and we know that this is just an, a thought, it's just an emotion, it's just an arising, it's not me, most of the time. What is important and what is most, important to understand is that a thought comes or an emotion comes and then says, this is me, I feel like that, this is my emotion, this is my thought. And then, you kind of, we misunderstand a kind of fleeting thought or fleeting emotion or fleeting arising as me, and then try to hold on to that. And then it becomes very difficult. It becomes negative. If we know that these are just fleeting thoughts and emotions, and we can let them come and let them go, it does not necessarily, disturb us. We can, that's why, if we understand the Mahamudra, then, anything that arises in us is just an arising. And it comes and it goes. And if we can let it happen, then, nothing can bind us. Sometimes people say that it's like writing on the writing on the water, or that like a thief coming into an empty house. If a thief comes into a house which is totally empty, nobody has to worry, because there's nothing to be stolen. So therefore, the thief comes and he goes around, he looks, and then he leaves, because there's nothing to. So in the same way, if our mind, we know how to react to our thoughts and emotions, then nothing can disturb us, nothing can. So it's totally self-liberated. That's the way, we practice.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. You actually answered lots of the questions that were coming in. And here is another question. At some point in Mahamudra practice, is it correct that there is no special experience except grasping and rejection greatly diminished? Thanks.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this the main thing is to understand, understand the nature of the awareness that we have, nature of you can call it mind, you can call it awareness, you can call it whatever you like, and that is, that's like that, it's, as I said, it's an awareness, and that's, that's there, but there's nothing, nothing kind of, you can't say it is there, you can't say it's not there, that's why, Buddha talked about the free from any extremes. If you say this is there, or it's existing, it's also not correct. It's not existing, it's both, it's not correct. It's neither, it's also not correct. It's a kind of, it's a miraculous kind of a thing. And so therefore, and it cannot be, it cannot be harmed by anything. It cannot be destroyed by anything, because there's nothing there. So therefore, when you understand this through nature, of course, your body is always changing, and, it's made of 5 elements. These elements are always changing and things like that. But, we have lots of attachment to that, and we think this is my body. But when there is no me totally existing on its own, how can it be mine? Anyway, it cannot be controlled by me. So therefore, when we understand this deeply, and then it doesn't mean that we don't have to take care of our health, and we have to use this body as positively and as beneficially as possible. But then, even if we have too much kind of attachment to it, that doesn't mean that we can hold on to it. When it's time to let go, we have to let go. There's no other way. So therefore, too much aversion, too much attachment is the problem that we create with our mind. And that from that comes all our suffering and pain. So therefore, when we know how to, understand this, and then, with a skillful way to let things be, to let things go, if you like, and let things come as it comes, and then, and think about how skillfully we act in the life, so that we don't harm as little as possible, but help as more as possible, then we have lived a more or less, positive life.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Here is another question. Is awareness bound to our planet?
I don't know. From my point of view, when I am, my experience, all my experience is within my awareness, within my mind. I can't experience anything without my mind, So that's why sometimes people say that, everything is kind of within my mind, or everything is created by my mind, some kind of like that. But it's not that, I say, oh, there is water and then water happens, and there is fire and fire happens. It's not like that. But I cannot experience anything besides, or beyond, or other than through my mind. Yeah. So any experience has to be through the experience of some consciousness. Yeah. I think if your question is, if I understand, you said that if this like the world, does it have a consciousness or not? It's possible. From Buddhist point of view, consciousness is a consciousness, and it can be attached to anything. At the moment I am, my consciousness attached to my body, this body. So I am, I think this is my body, and from Buddhist point of view, my consciousness can be attached to even something that's like the door. If I think that I am the door, then my consciousness can be the door, with the door. So therefore, there are stories that, somebody was kind of, his consciousness became attached to the door, and then every time the door was banged, he felt very bad, because, he thought he was, banged. So there are things like that also, but, it's like that. Anything is possible.
Thank you, Rinpoche. And here's another question. What are some words that we can tell ourselves when we notice our negative emotions?
I think we can just tell that it's not necessary to react like that. If we are kind of reacting, it's a negative reaction, then, we know that if we react with this negative emotion, then it would be, not good to the other person, because if we react with a negative way, then that would hurt this person, or harm this person, or not benefit this person. It will not be useful for me, because my mind will be disturbed by that. And, I would react in a negative way. So it's not good for me. And then any kind of actions I make, whether it's, body or speech, that would also be not a good action, because it's done with a negative emotion. So therefore, it's not useful. It's not, beneficial to act in this way or react in this way. So when I understand this, then, it would be better for me if I reacted not in that way, but in a positive way. So at least I can say, okay, I am in a negative state of mind. So therefore, I should not react at this moment. I can relax a little bit and then let this negative emotion pass. So, that could also sometimes be helpful, because they said that, these emotions, negative emotions are very, very strong. It's very strong. Sometimes, if we are totally overpowered our negative emotions, we can do lots of destruction. We can be very so angry that we can hurt somebody, or even we can take somebody's life, or, we can even make ourselves, in danger of losing our, our life, our health, things like that. But there's one positive thing, that is that this negative emotions also is impermanent, and sometimes very impermanent. So if we don't react in that way and allow ourselves to, to delay our reaction in a short time, sometimes overnight, next day, or even after 1 hour, or after a few minutes, we have cooled down, and then we don't react in that way. We know that because most of the actions or reactions we did with a negative emotion like hatred or anger or things like that, we always have to regret, because we know afterwards that it was not good for anybody. So therefore, if we can have that kind of discipline, then, even that can, can help.
Thank you, Rinpoche. We have one more question that we can answer, and that is from Spanish. What prayer can I do to have a main teacher to help me to recognize which practices are the most suitable for me according to my state of consciousness?
Actually, prayer, you can do any prayer you like. And, but this is, the main thing is like that. If you understand what I was saying, and, the teachings on this Mahamudra, and not just Mahamudra, any teaching is similar, actually. It's not about, the teacher. I think it's more about yourself, what practice or what way of, understand, is helpful to you, if you ask another person, of course, if he is a very highly kind of completely knowing all the 3 times and things like that, that's another matter. But most of the, people, teachers also, like if it is like me, I don't know what you are, your mind is going on. So I can't tell, which practice would be most useful to you. I think you know more better than me what practice would be more useful, because the practice you should first understand, and then understand what the practice is, because the practice is about, working on yourself, transforming yourself, understanding yourself. And so if that is, that is, if, you can connect, and that's what. So you use that, it doesn't need to be some very long one or some very complicated thing. I think sometimes the most simple practice is the best practice, because that's you understand. And when you understand, then you know how to do it. When you know how to do it, you do it. And then if you do it, it will be useful, it will be helpful. So I think it's not about, another person telling you this or that. It's about yourself, mostly, especially in Tibetan Buddhism, we have lots of different teachings, lots of different teachings. So out of those teachings, then something that you really understand and you think that you can use it on yourself, and something that you really, connect with, you use that practice. And I think it will be very useful.
Thank you so much, Ringu Tulku Rinpoche. That was wonderful. Unfortunately, the time is up. And thank you also to Mnakung Sampalmo, Koji, Christine, Rod, and Leah, and especially all our amazing translators for this day. And thank you, everyone, for being here. And we will now do the dedication prayer.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. So nam di cham che sikpani top ne ne pedranam pam je ne kega na chi balap drukpai si ped sole drowa drowar shok. By this merit, may all attain omniscience and defeat the enemy wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of existence, may all beings be free. Well, thank you again so much, everyone, for coming today and joining us. And thank you, Ringu Tulku Rinpoche. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Oops. We have some exciting announcement right now. Thanks to a generous donor, we have a Double Your Impact Giving Tuesday campaign. So from now until Giving Tuesday, all of your donations will be doubled up to $25,000. So if you feel so inclined, please use the QR code in this slide or go to our website and go to donations. We are able to offer events like this for free. So thank you so much to all the sponsors and donors who are donating to make this possible. We also have some exciting information about upcoming retreats and events. The Mahamudra Immersion course is a 9 months course that is divided into 2 parts, and we will explore Tilopa's Ganges Mahamudra verse by verse, together with commentaries by the third Karmapa, Rangdum Dorje, and Trango Rinpoche. Mingyur Rinpoche will teach us about going beyond theoretical understanding to directly experience the heart of Mahamudra. The immersion started November 1st, but you can still join now. We will practice this most important teaching of Mahamudra, teachings of Tilopa verse by verse, and we'll learn about the view, meditation, application, and result. Furthermore, our Tergar guides will offer weekly live sessions, and you will also hear from lineage teachers and leading voices within the Vajrayana tradition in interviews and webinars. We have also exciting news that we can save the date. We know the dates for the 2024 Kathmandu in-person events, and we are delighted to announce those events for 2024. In the traditional Tibetan calendar, certain dates are considered auspicious, while others are considered inauspicious for various activities. 2024 is considered an obstacle year for Mingyur Rinpoche. Therefore, he will not travel. Instead, he will offer in-person events in his home monastery, Tergar Osaling in Kathmandu, Nepal. You can see the program of in-person events on the slide, and we are sharing the dates already to help those who wish to attend to plan their travel in Nepal. Online events will be announced later during the year. As part of the teachings, Rinpoche will offer, can you go back one slide, please? Will offer, a closing retreat for the current Ganges Mahamudra transmission and start a special cycle of teachings based on Guru Padmasambhava's manifestation as Dorji Drolo. Great news for the whole Tergar community and the Buddhist world. Rinpoche has taught these precious lineage teachings on removing obstacles during traditional 3-year retreats. He now feels the time is right to bring these teachings to a wider world. So this is very, very exciting. Now we can do the next slide. Vajrayana Online is Tergar's meditation community subscription-based online program for students to explore topics and practices from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. This program makes the traditional Buddhist path of awakening accessible and relevant by integrating theoretical understanding, experiential learning through guided meditation practice and practical application in everyday life situations. Now offering over 18 courses, you can join a course currently in progress or previously offered courses in our library. Unsure where to begin? Visit the Vajrayana Online contact page for support. So thank you again so much for joining us today. And we all are wishing you a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you so much.